This section gives a brief introduction to scene managers. Scene managers act like bootstrapping objects. Every time you load a scene with a scene manager, uFrame ensures that everything is loaded and ready to work correctly. Additionally, they allow you to define scene transitions. You can define what scenes to load and how to set up your scene manager. Finally, they allow you to execute any logic during the loading. It's a good place to generate procedural stuff or load a saved state of the scene. To define a scene manager, you should be in the general graph where you define subsystems. So here you can double-click, add scene manager, and change its name. However, to make it work, you have to tell the scene manager what part of your game logic should be loaded with the scene. And that is why you have to link a subsystem to the scene manager. The main point here is that scene manager only allows to have one subsystem connected. So for each scene manager, it's a good practice to define a single subsystem which will incorporate all the other needed subsystems and also expose some scene-specific elements. In this example, I have main menu system connected to main menu scene manager and level system connected to level scene manager. This basically means that I'm going to have one scene which will display main menu, and this scene will probably be unique. However, you may want to have several level scenes using the same level scene manager. To make some scene use the specific scene manager, this scene must be properly configured. There are several ways to do it. Let us save and compile. We got a bunch of files generated. And now if you right-click on the main menu scene manager and click Create Scene, a new scene will be created for you, and as you can see it already has a game manager and a scene manager. Scene managers are in fact mono-behaviors, but they are not views. And the game manager in this scene is told to work with this scene manager, which is main menu scene manager. Alternatively, you can create new scene and create two game objects. One of those is going to be game manager and the other one is going to be scene manager. On the game manager, you drop game manager script. On the scene manager, you drop the scene manager you want to be used in this scene. In my case, it is level scene manager. Finally, I tell the game manager in this scene to work with the scene manager. I can save this scene in my project folder in the scenes. Finally, I can duplicate those. So I got 3 levels which use the same scene manager. Now it's time to define some scene transitions. My menu system has an element called main menu root. It has a command called toLevel, and it brings a string with it. On the other side, in the level system, my level root brings to main menu command, which has no argument. What I do is I expand my subsystem and register my main menu root as a globally registered instance. And I do the same for my level root. Now, if you expand your scene managers, you have Add Transition button here, and you can select the exposed commands. They come from those globally registered elements. To level, we'll go to level scene manager, and to main menu, we'll go back to main menu scene manager. So whenever main menu root executes toLevel command, it is going to transition to some scene which uses level scene manager. But how do we know what scene to go to? Well, we can define it in the code. Let's save and compile. Now control-click on main menu scene manager, and your IDE should pop up. Here you see the implementation of main menu scene manager, which was automatically generated by uFrame. There are a lot of commands here, but the code does nothing more than the basic locations. Right here, we can override a special method. It's called getToLevelScenes. If you remember, my toLevel command brings a string argument, and that is why you have this string here. I have to return some sort of enumerable which will have all the scenes I should load additively. In case you provide it with one scene, the only scene will be loaded. In my case, I'm going to transition to the scene which corresponds to the name which was passed. Now we need to prepare a few things. I'm going to create a new empty object and call this one main menu root. And I will drop in main menu root view. I will tell it to use globally registered main menu root instance. Now I'll go to my built-in settings and place all my scenes in the list. Also, there is a special scene shipped with the uFrame called loading. Now I can hit play, and as you can see now, my scene manager is main menu scene manager. On my main menu root, I have a commands folder where I can execute commands with a given parameter. I will type in the name of my scene, which uses the level scene manager. Let's say it's level 2. And as you can see now, the scene manager is level scene manager. And we are in the scene called level 2. Now we can transition from main menu scene to any level. But how do we get back? Well, using the code for this is an overkill because we always know the name of the scene where we want to go to. It is main menu scene here. So now I'm in the level 1 scene, and let me create a new object called level root. I'll drop in level root view here, and I'll tell it to use registered level root instance. Now in the scene manager, I have two main menu transition settings. Here I can specify the scenes. So I will just type in main menu scene. And now if I hit play, select my level root and hit to menu, I'll be in the main menu again, and now I can get back to the other level. At this point, we know how to transition between the scenes. Let's see how we can transfer some data around the scenes and adjust our scene during the runtime. The one way to do it is using the scene manager settings. Let's open this up. It's a public sealed partial class, which means you cannot inherit from this, but you can add your own properties here. Let's say when loading your scene, you want to generate a big world, and you want a size of the world to come from the other scene, which you transition from. So let us create two public fields here. Now if we go back to the scene and choose our scene manager, which is level scene manager, you can see that under level scene manager settings, we got a new setting for width and for height. If you specify some values here, those are going to be default. But I want those to come from main menu scene manager while we transition. So let's go to main menu scene manager code. And here let's override a method which is related to two-level transition and is called two-level transition complete. I'll remove the base invocation, and as you can see, I get the level scene manager here. I can adjust its settings to something else. I can set height to 100, and I can set width to something else. Now in my main menu scene, if I transition to level 1, I can take a look at my scene manager, and you see that width is set to 400 and height is set to 100. Amazing! You should probably know that this method, which is invoked every time the transition is complete, can serve for a lot of purposes. You are not bound to set the properties here, but you can modify the existing scene manager in any way you want. So now we know how to set up scene managers, how to define transitions, how to set up scenes and settings. Now it's time to learn a bit about the loading procedure. In every generated scene manager code, you have plenty of methods which are heavily documented. You can use each entry point to do some stuff which you want, but it's very important to know what kind of things are accessible from here. First of all, you get access to all the defined controllers. In my case, I only got level root controller. And also you get access to all the globally registered instances defined in all of the connected subsystems. So in my case, I have only level root, and I can pretty much do everything with it. The loading starts with this onloading method, which is invoked right before the load coroutine is started. And this is a coroutine, so you can use YEL statements here. Like for example, you can use YEL return new wait 4 seconds. Also, in this coroutine, you have a progress delegate, which you can update with some values. For example, I can send a message and some float progress. Right after this coroutine is finished, onloaded is invoked, and when the scene dies, unload is invoked. And this method is only invoked when the scene first loads. So now, if we go back to main menu scene and try to transition, you can see that we're loading controllers for 30 seconds, and then we are in the level scene manager.